Seasonal Affective Disorder, also known as SAD, and also taking the winter in stride. A lot of the things that apply to preventing and treating SAD, they're also pretty helpful just for day-to-day life in the winter, even if you're not even experiencing like any kind of symptoms. It can still help quite a bit. So I think most people on campus know me, but in case you're watching this and you don't know me, my name's Jasmine, and you can see my email here. This is my peer counselor advocate number, and then my hours. So I'm available 2:30 to 4:30 Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And peer counselor advocates, we're here. We can provide information about resources. We're here if you need someone to talk to, someone who's not a counselor or some kind of medical professional. We're just always here and just ready to listen. Yeah, so feel free to contact me. You can always contact me, but these are the hours where I will be available to talk. Yeah, so content warning, we're going to be talking about some symptoms of depression, mentioning depression. So if that's something that you're not comfortable with, I totally understand. So what is seasonal affective disorder? So SAD is it's a well-known condition found in climates where there's less sunlight, typically. It's characterized by quite a few symptoms, but here's some of the main ones: fatigue, depression, hopelessness, and social withdrawal. So these are just a few. There are some others that I'll be mentioning. Let's see, what causes SAD? Of course, we can't definitively say one specific thing, but it seems like universally it is a lack of sunlight, lack of vitamin D from that lack of sunlight. And therefore, it's more common the further away you get from the equator. So here in Ohio, we're in a medium risk area. It's not definitely not impossible to get SAD living in Ohio. Well, I just realized how that sounds. To develop SAD while living in Ohio. Of course, the more north you go, like Canada, it's going to be a lot easier to develop that. So how common is SAD in the U.S.? More than 3 million people in the U.S. suffer from SAD every year, and many more may suffer from, less serious symptoms. Maybe they don't see it as important enough to seek help, and so therefore it's not recorded. Women are 4 times more likely to experience SAD, which is consistent with, the data about depression and other disorders. Symptoms most commonly begin between ages 18 and 30. I believe the most common age was 22 or 23. SAD appears to be somewhat inheritable. So if you have a family member who had SAD or has SAD, then your chances may be increased. But, of course, that doesn't mean that you definitely have it. So some interesting things about SAD and sleep. Studies have found that people with SAD have increased levels of melatonin and decreased levels of serotonin. And both of these are sleep cycle regulating hormones. Serotonin can help you feel awake, whereas melatonin can help your mind go to sleep. So therefore, people with SAD sleep about 2 hours more in the winter than in the summer. So that could be an important thing to note, if you're experiencing some of these symptoms and you're also noticing that you're sleeping more, then, that could definitely be a sign. And also studies have shown that they have a higher rate of nightmares, which is just interesting to note. Here are the other symptoms as well. Eating more, especially carbohydrates, is very common. Trying to get energy that you feel like you're lacking. Increase in purposeless activity, like pacing or maybe bouncing your knees a lot, that sort of thing. Difficulty concentrating or slowed speech, and also thoughts of suicide. So this can be very, very serious. And as I'll talk later, it's definitely more than just, the winter blues or something like that. So what helps prevent SAD? About 20 minutes of sunlight exposure a day um, is typically what it will highly decrease your chances for developing SAD. But if you can't get those 20 minutes, and those 20 minutes vary between person to person, of course, between climate to climate. But if you can't get your exposure, then vitamin D can also help, because that's actually what we need from that sunlight is the vitamin D. So if you're consuming more vitamin D, that can help make up for that lack of sunlight. And help boost your serotonin levels, help you feel more awake, happier, and so on. And exercise will do just about the same thing, help regulate your serotonin levels. Exercise is just great for preventing all kinds of health issues, mental health issues, physical health, and so on. So what are the treatments, right? What is done, once you are diagnosed with SAD? What is typically done? Maybe if you see a professional, or maybe. Well, the first thing on the list, light therapy. This is something that anyone can do. It's very easy to actually buy one of these lamps that will allow you to conduct light therapy. Um, it is effective in 60 to 80% of cases. It is where, using a special light, it's essentially a supplement for sunlight. And it can vary between the lamp. Some lamps you need over an hour of exposure, and some, just 20 minutes or so. And basically just sitting in this lamp will fulfill, that deficit of sunlight that you may have. Cognitive behavioral therapy is also a very useful treatment for SAD, and that has the same effectiveness rate as light therapy. So cognitive therapy looks at correcting like incorrect thought patterns, where maybe you're thinking like, I just can't get my work done, I'm no good, things like that aren't true, but nevertheless, sometimes we fall into those thought patterns, and they affect our behavior, they affect our emotions. So that can also be really helpful in case, maybe light therapy isn't helping, or maybe doing both at the same time could also make a huge difference. And then, of course, there's also medication. Antidepressants can also make a difference and help in case neither of those help, or if you want to use them in combination, of course. So some common misconceptions about SAD. Like I said, it's not just the winter blues, right? You can feel down sometimes, um, but SAD is very much, you know, it's a serious condition. It's not, uh, something that you just kind of comes and goes, and you feel a little down, like you're experiencing the symptoms that we listed earlier. Um, And another misconception is that SAD only occurs during the winter. It can occur really any time that you're not getting enough sunlight. It could even occur in the summer if you're not going out and getting any sunlight. So those are some important things to note. And then my sources. So I got these mainly from the Mayo Clinic and the American Psychiatric Association, as well as a few other medical organizations, but these were the main ones. And you can find other counseling services at the antiochcollege.edu/campus life/counseling services. And there's counseling, there's student support circles, NAMI on campus, and more. So please reach out if you're experiencing any kind of issues, mental health issues. I think that is it. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Please. Yeah.
So just like, I don't know if like maybe you would answer based on like your research or your personal experiences, But do you have any advice on just like staying motivated in the winter? Because I know you said like working out every day helps and things like that for sure. But for me, like it's just so hard to stay motivated, like and with classes too and everything. Like I don't
Hmm.
mean you don't have to answer that if maybe you struggle with that too, but if you do have any advice, then that would be great.
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, of course, that's the biggest issue with things like this is like, the things that will help you improve your mood, improve your like motivation, you know, just building up motivation for those things can be the real struggle, right? Um, so in that case, I think, just trying to take like baby steps for me, that's from my personal experience, of course, I think it's just been taking baby steps, if, um, you know, like you really, in my experience, I don't want to force myself if I feel like I absolutely like cannot go out and, you know, maybe exercise for 30 minutes or whatever, so in that case, I just try to do whatever I can, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes, maybe you go jogging like 30 minutes every day, and then the winter comes and you're not jogging as much, like in that case, maybe finding some kind of alternative, like instead of going out and jogging, maybe like doing jumping jacks inside, something like that, trying to find that compromise so you can still get that activity, but maybe, going out and doing it is just, you know, deterring you from doing your usual pattern. So I don't know if that helps.
It does, thank you. I always remind myself like just trying like not to be so hard on myself about things. So
Hmm.
that's a great reminder for sure.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, understanding, if, when you don't have the motivation and not beating yourself up like, oh, no, it's my own fault that, that I'm experiencing, that I'm feeling down or whatever, it's just accepting your limitations is always important. Yeah, thank you for your question.